What happens when America is no longer leading the conversation on the world's biggest conflict? A dramatic new developments are raising that question after Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky publicly called for direct talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin, bypassing the traditional role many expected the United States to play. At the same time, explosive allegations are emerging about European businesses and political figures who may still be helping fuel Russia's war machine. As Ukraine gains momentum on the battlefield and pressure mounts on Moscow, new questions are being asked about global leadership, accountability, and who is really influencing the future of this devastating war. A major diplomatic development is drawing international attention after Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky publicly proposed direct negotiation with Russian President Vladimir Putin in an effort to end the war in Ukraine. The proposal comes at the critical moment in the conflict as Ukraine claims it is increasing pressure on Russian forces through long-range strikes as the substance military operations. Zelensky's message highlighted the Ukrainian official described growing challenges for Russia, including heavy battlefield losses and increasing dependence on foreign support. The move has sparked debate among analysts about the changing dynamics of international diplomacy. Some observers argue that Ukraine's decision to pursue direct communication with Moscow reflects the broader shift in how major geopolitical issues are being addressed. At the center of this discussion is the question of global leadership. Critics claim that the United States has been its influence administered in certain international negotiations, while supporters of current policies argue that Washington continues to play an important role behind the scenes. Meanwhile, attention is also turning toward independent journalists documenting the realities of the war. One reporter receiving international recognition is Irish journalist Colin Robertson, who has spent years covering events from inside Ukraine. Robertson was recently honored by President Zelensky with Ukraine Order of Merit, an award recognizing individuals who have made significant contributions to the country. The journalist said the recognition came as surprise while he was working on another major investigation. Speaking about his connection to Ukraine, Robertson explained that the repeated visits to frontline communities transformed his perspective. He described witnessing both the destruction caused by and the determination of ordinary Ukrainians trying to preserve hope despite constant danger. According to Robertson, one of the moments that left a lasting impact involved in a resident living near active combat zones who focused on protecting a small flower growing amid the devastation. The experience, he said, symbolized the resilience and the optimism the repeatedly encountered throughout the country. While Robertson remained known for his frontline reporting, his latest investigation has shifted attention toward an issue far from the battlefield. The journalist has been examining claims that material shipped from Ireland may ultimately be entering Russian industry supply chains linked military production. According to his reporting, a refinery operating in Ireland continues exporting large quantities of aluminium, a substance used in aluminium production. Aluminium plays an important role is numerous industries, including manufacturing sectors that support military equipment. Robertson alleges that the shipment continued traveling Russia despite international scrutiny surrounding Moscow was effort. His investigation has generating significant public interest, accu- accumulating millions of online views and promoting debate among politicians and citizens alike. The allegation has also attracted controversy. Robertson says he received threat and intimidation while pursuing the story, including reports of individuals attempting to track his location during his work in Ireland. Despite his challenges, he says the investigation is ongoing. One key element involves laboratory testing designed to determine whether export material can be directly connected to product used within Russia's military supply chain. If such connection is established, the findings would intensify calls for additional sanctions and regulatory action. The controversy has also exposed political division within Ireland. Some officials reject claims that exported material contribute to Russia's military capabilities, while critics argue that stronger oversight is necessary to prevent any possibility of indirect support for Moscow's war efforts. Robertson maintained that his objective not to shut down businesses or eliminate jobs. Instead, he argues that companies should diversify their customer base and reduce dependence on Russian markets, ensuring economic stability while avoiding potential links to the conflict. As the war continues, these debates highlights the increasingly complex network of the political, economic, and diplomatic factors shaping events for beyond the front lines. For Ukraine, the immediate focus remains ending the conflict and the securing long-term peace. Whether direct talk between Zelensky and Putin will eventually take place remain uncertain. What is the clear, however, is that the war impact extends far beyond Eastern Europe, influence international politics, economic relationships, and global discussion about leadership is accountability. As new developments emerge, the world will be watching closely to see whether diplomacy, pressure, or continued military action ultimately determines the next chapter of this historical conflict. My name is Dildar Hemant. You are watching Dildar Reporting. If you like my video, then subscribe my YouTube channel.